Andrea Radrizzani last visited Elland Road more than 2 years ago. The previous owner was trying to sell 49ers Enterprises his 75% stake while Leeds was headed to the championship in 2023. Radrizzani was in Italy completing a deal to acquire Sampdoria on the day they were defeated by Tottenham at home. "It was the worst nightmare of my life when I didn't go," Radrizzani tells the reporter. "It was completely inappropriate of me to skip Elland Road. I went to Milan to see the game. I made a lot of mistakes and struggled outside of football during my final year at Leeds. I made poor choices. I should have taken action sooner, such as replacing coach Jesse Marsch before the 2022 World Cup, but things didn't work out at the time, and things are what they are. I still have some regrets, of course, but we don't go anywhere with ifs and buts." Later, more on those regrets. That was the end of a wild voyage for Radrizzani, who was first wildly popular after completing a complete takeover from fellow Italian Massimo Cellino in 2017. The high point of the journey was being promoted to the Premier League in 2020. However, with the club's 2023 relegation, its value fell, and shortly after the Leeds United Supporters Club issued a statement declaring that he was no longer an appropriate person to own, the 51-year-old finally agreed to sell for £170 million. Radrizzani acknowledges, "I should not have sold with relegation because it was a better business decision to keep the club, but I wasn't in the right frame of mind to continue. I felt overburdened, isolated, and unfit to continue with such a significant responsibility." Radrizzani and his family, who later became Leeds supporters, went through difficult times. "We continue to watch the team," he claims. "I'm still emotionally attached. Like me, my son is an enormous Leeds supporter. He is 9 years old, so Leeds United was ingrained in him from an early age. It's a little strange because when he says Leeds when asked which team he loves in Italy, they question, 'Are you sure it's not Juventus or AC Milan?' Radrizzani intends to go back to his hometown now that Daniel Farke's team is back in the top division and things are looking good. And just for fun this time, his return is scheduled for Friday, October 24th at Elland Road against West Ham. "I'll be here shortly to watch a game. I miss it," Radrizzani admits. "It's time to return, even if I didn't want to compete in the championship, since I knew it would hurt me. I have communication with Parag Marathe, the chairman of Leeds. It will be soon." Kenny Dalglish suggesting that Leeds was a sleeping giant over a fortuitous lunch in 2016 led to Radrizzani's acquisition of the Yorkshire club, but he acknowledges that he still misjudged it. He says that Dalglish's advice was the best but most dangerous he had ever received. "I had no idea this club was so large. I produced this documentary with Amazon when we were in the championship, and I had people contacting me all around New York and California, as well as receiving letters from Australia and India. At that moment, I realized this club was truly unique. We are everywhere." The early years at Elland Road were dominated by Cellino, a man dubbed the Manager Eater, who had 7 permanent managers in 3 years. Radrizzani paid under £45 million to buy the club fully in 2017. "That time was enjoyable," Radrizzani says. "Massimo taught me a lot, although our methods were completely different. Massimo was more knowledgeable about football business than I was, but he didn't want to take the risk of making a large investment in a potential promotion. I recognized the potential and made a significant financial investment. However, he was a lot of fun to watch and play games with. Just to listen to his opinions about the players and umpires, I would adore sitting next to him at every game." Even the chaos of the Cellino era, however, was insufficient to prepare Radrizzani for Marcelo Bielsa. He calls this person unbelievable, who was put in under him on the recommendation of football director Victor Orta. When Radrizzani remembers the Spygate scandal under Bielsa, in which the Argentine manager sent out a teenage intern to spy on Derby County under Frank Lampard, he laughs. He describes how he was incensed at first, but later grew to love the commotion. According to Radrizzani, I was in the car when I got the call to tell me the police found someone, and I could not believe it. I was first concerned and then upset, but I really enjoyed it because it was so entertaining. Since the media's reaction wasn't that awful, I didn't enjoy it. In the end, we had many enemies. You either love Leeds or you hate it, I suppose. Marcelo and I lost touch, but I want to see him at the World Cup next year. In 2022, Radrizzani and Orta were the ones who reluctantly fired Bielsa. Leeds now regrets the decision, even if it was justified at the time. Leeds as a city was greatly stimulated by Marcelo. I'm sorry I fired him, but trying to keep the team in the Premier League at the time was a sensible move. We were losing a lot of games, and I could see that the guys were mentally and physically worn out. It was one of the hardest decisions I've ever made, and it was probably the wrong decision, because Marcelo's actions went beyond the results. But that was the sensible solution to a troublesome situation. Marsh, who kept Leeds afloat after Bielsa, was fired less than a year later. Marsh accused Radrizzani of losing his nerve, and the decision was foolish. Radrizzani, on the other hand, regrets not replacing Marsh earlier. We spent a lot of time searching for someone who played similarly to Marcelo. I'm sorry we didn't make the change earlier. Marsh is an excellent coach, but I could see that he and the team were not communicating well. We lost the opportunity to have Julen Lopetegui or Unai Emery. After the World Cup, we made another attempt with Arne Slot and Andoni Iraola, but it was too late. It was my responsibility. With Sam Allardyce winning only 1 point in 4 games and Javier Gracia fired after 2.5 months, Leeds fell into the championship during those last 6 months and things got nasty. Radrizzani says that he is proving he was the right choice and commends the 49ers for being patient with the German. He also loves the Leeds team that Farke has assembled. I'm pleased with their accomplishments, he declares. The team is well organized, has strong middle players, and doesn't let up many goals. They need a few more goals, but I'm optimistic. Radrizzani was well known at Leeds for often replying to fans on social media, but he says he has reduced his screen time since selling up. I mentioned the last tweet he sent in November 2024. I hear you all. I have been subjected to criticism, harassment, and insults whenever I speak about anything since June 2023. It doesn't change the fact that we, the administration and every club employee, invested in, modernized, and renovated the club, ultimately leading to its historic promotion after 17 years. Leeds was his passion, he says now, looking back with fondness. Was very bullish and ambitious, adds Radrizzani. I had a lot of momentum during those years of my life, and I was certain that Leeds could play in Europe, stay in the Premier League, and accomplish more along the lines of a renovated Elland Road. I should have changed more things earlier, but I'm a loyal person, so that was another mistake. The Italian should not have tried changing the club's emblem in 2018. After a fierce fan outcry, he descended. Being the owner of this club was an honor. Revenues increased from $36 million under Salino to $60 million in the Championship and $210 million in the Premier League. According to Radrizzani, there were long-term partnerships with Adidas and other companies, as well as new buildings, Thorpe Arch renovations, and Elland Road improvements. He emphasizes the fact that he left a team with significant value. Leeds sold players like Tyler Adams, $20 million, Archie Gray, $30 million, Crescencio Somerville, $25 million, Jorginho Rutter, $40 million, and Luis Sinisterra, $20 million, during 2023 and 2024, as well as the players he sold, such as Rafinha, $55 million, and Calvin Phillips, $45 million. He also expresses his satisfaction with the progression of plans to enlarge Elland Road, stating that while he enjoys the atmosphere of the current stadium, a renovation is needed. The next stage, in Radrizzani's opinion, should be a training facility nearer the city center. Radrizzani, who lives in Italy, now divides his time between journalism, technology, and sports. I prayed a lot at the time at Leeds, especially when we lost to Derby in the playoff semi-final. I stopped praying for football the following year, and promotion came. God provides everything He needs when He wants. I continued to communicate with the owners. Everyone becomes addicted to the company. It's unsafe and dangerous because of how competitive it is. Consider the threat that well-known teams like Wolves and West Ham are already facing at this point in the season. The excitement that no other business provides is the cause of the addiction. Nothing can compare to the glory that comes from making so many people happy with your investment and labor. I express my gratitude to all those who participated. After some time for introspection, he talks about his better health and smiles, saying, "At least I don't suffer with football like I used to." Shortly after our interview is over, Radrizzani texts me